I find it very difficult to cope with the idea that women have to be covered up.
They think women are second-class citizens.
They cover them up and stuff like that, which I think is a little bit harsh. They should show their beauty.
There are those in the West who say Islam represses women. If that's the case, why do so many Muslim women say Islam is liberating?
The role of women in Islam, I think, is a topic that irritates a lot of women in Islam because they don't like to be thought of as separate entities. We follow the same pattern, we do the same things as men. We just like to think of ourselves really as being Muslims.
Unfortunately, our culture made it respectable for a man to be hostile towards his wife. They think that this manly. If you're manly, then you control and you order women about. This has nothing to do with Islam at all. It's really to do with the culture. Islam insisted that the women have to be treated kindly. The Prophet ﷺ said, because the Arabs also used to treat the women badly, and they used to kill the women when they were infant. So the Prophet said, if a man had 3 daughters, and he looked after them, and treated them with kindness, then paradise is his for sure.
Hijab is a covering, it's a sign of modesty, it's a sign of being a Muslim woman. It's basically the covering of everything apart from your face and your hands. It doesn't stop you doing anything. I mean, all it is to cover your body. I mean, it's just clothes. It's not going to stop you from working. When I dress like this, I don't dress for men, I don't dress for people who want me to, you know, who want me for my looks rather than for who I am, rather than the brains I have.
As the first Muslim to enter House of Lords, it was very, very important that I was able to say, in the name of Allah. I, Paula Manzila Baroness Uddin, do swear by Almighty Allah that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, her heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God. Islam came with being practical as a person rather than a woman or a man. So I think I grew up knowing, thinking, practicing, being a Muslim. I need no Western feminist ideals to inspire me. They're within the 1400 years of development of Islam. Every right that I would want as a woman in Britain is afforded me in Islam.
One of the most confusing parts of Islamic law for many Westerners is the fatwa.
The word fatwa entered into the languages as a result of the Mr. Rushdie's incident. But fatwa is simply a legal opinion. A legal opinion can be issued by a scholar. It has to be a scholar, a qualified scholar. Not anyone in the street can make a fatwa. So a legal fatwa would be binding only on the mufti, on the person who makes it. It's not necessarily acceptable, not universally accepted, because there is no ex-cathedral, there is no pope to tell us what to do. And anyone can challenge any scholar, however high his position might be.
When you think of the word halal, most people just think you're talking about meat, but it goes much deeper than that. The word halal means permitted. The word haram means forbidden. Islam isn't just about your do's and don'ts. There's a whole system of economics.
Islam is against the concentration of wealth in a few hands. Islam also insists that no Muslim should go hungry in a society. The law of monopoly, against monopoly, was instituted in Islam 1400 years ago. Money does not make money in Islam. Money has to be risked to make money. And only work and risk can give you money.
It's not just theory, it's actually happening here in Britain today. Islam forbids Muslims to exploit others by charging interest on loans.
I am publishing Islamic children books. The religion of Islam does not allow interest to be taken in form of loans or anything. Services provided by the Islamic Business Center allow this. It was a loan without interest, which is in accordance with the Islamic belief.
I think that the religion's probably more central to their culture than it is than Christianity is.
Fasting, towards what we would call Christmas in Christians.
I think it's a 40-day celebration where obviously you're not allowed to eat during the days of during the hours of light, and I think you can then eat certain things outside of those hours.
The day Friday to Muslims is what Sunday is to Christians. So there it is, the beginner's guide to Islam. I know there's a lot to remember here, but then there's a lot more to Islam and Muslims than meets the eye. Before I sign off though, here's a few words from some more British Muslims.
I want them to think about Muslims as peaceful people, as kind people, friendly people, and helpful people.
It's not about Islam versus the world or anything like that. It's not about fundamentalism. It's not about force. Whoever wants to be a Muslim becomes a Muslim at his own will. No one forces someone to become a Muslim.
It all derives from ignorance, what people read in the papers. You see something, you read it. If you don't go into it in depth, then you're not going to know.
Islam to me means happiness, and I think other people should think happiness as well.
It's a reform of society and community. So this is what I hope the British people realize, that
peace.
Yes.
The press, sadly it's all against Islam, and people who think this way about Islam, they shouldn't rush into conclusion. They should read and finish the story.
Before I was a Muslim, I was filled with misconceptions and preconceptions. When I travelled in Muslim lands, I met a wonderful welcome, and I was more secure than I'd ever been anywhere else in the world. And hopefully this is the future of England as well. And Islam has taken root here and it's growing. And inshallah it will spread. And people will come to know what it is through Muslims and through people who embody it. And then they'll find that they have nothing to fear except for Allah. And if you fear Allah, you don't fear anything else.
Never fear, the season continues next on BBC Two with a Homefront Islamic style makeover. And if you'd like to take part in the community events that complement Islam UK, call freephone 0800 011 011 or visit the website bbc.co.uk/Islam. For the Islam UK booklet, send a cheque for £4.95 payable to BBC Factual and Learning to Islam UK, PO Box 7000, Manchester M60 3HE.